Hey, welcome back. Second hour coverage of Money Monday on Liquid Lunch. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. We're in Midtown Manhattan, and we're talking to you about all the news of the day, what's happening in the markets, what's happening with Jeffrey Epstein, what's happening with guns. We mix it up with Republicans and Democrats, but we kick off the second hour as we do every day with our first. Joining me, my co-host and managing editor, Frank Morano. And Frank, every day at the top of the show, you get into your Frankly Speaking topic where you just break it down so good for our audience on what's happening around the world, around the nation, and even in our viewers' neck of the woods. And,
well, look,
what's happening
John,
today.
The truth be told, and the audience should know this, I didn't know we were doing a second hour until I walked into the studio right before the show. So I made lunch plans, and if there's one thing that anybody that knows me knows, you do not get in the way of my lunch plans, especially if there's a rumor that somebody else might be paying. However, there is a huge issue that, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 48 hours, you've seen some coverage of, and that has to do with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein's death, and that is the subject that I'll be speaking frankly about. If the situation with Jeffrey Epstein was an isolated incident, meaning someone either killing themselves in federal custody or being killed, the jury's still out, we'll see what happens, we could understand it. Look at what happened last year with Whitey Bulger, an 89-year-old man, the head of one of the most infamous criminal gangs in the history of New England, just happens to be placed in federal custody with another inmate that really wants to kill him. Shockingly, he gets killed. If that was another isolated incident, you could almost understand, okay, maybe there's nothing wrong with the way the Bureau of Prisons handles things. Look at what happened with cop killer Ronell Wilson. What's he allowed to do when he goes to prison? Well, he gets to sleep with the person guarding him and impregnates her. The federal jail system is absolute chaos. It is chaos. Scandal after scandal, violence, drugs, smuggled cell phones. It is rampant with abuse. Bureaucracy, corruption, violence, and scandal. That is what defines our federal justice system in jail. And I'm reminded of the old quote from Oscar Wilde. If this is how Queen Victoria treats her prisoners, maybe she doesn't deserve to have any. Well, look, we in New York, we're ahead of the game on a lot of things. We've seen something like this. 25 years ago, the New York City jail system was an absolute mess. We saw 1,000 violent assaults within the jail system every year. Stabbings, slashings, but it was even worse. You didn't just see inmate-on-inmate violence. You saw inmates attacking correction officers. You saw correction officers attacking inmates. And you know what? Not surprisingly, correction officers didn't want to come to work. So there was alarming rates of retirement, people just quitting, sick outs, and what did that lead to? Overtime through the roof. It was costly, and it was a mess. Then what happened? Rudy Giuliani came to town, and our mayor appointed a very competent commissioner of corrections and a very competent deputy commissioner of corrections, who then went on to become commissioner of corrections himself. That person was an old Passaic County, New Jersey jail warden named Bernard Kerik. Bernard Kerik and the other leadership at the Department of Corrections in the 1990s brought violent assaults down 90%. 90% in an incredibly short amount of time. And this was while, because remember, we had Mr. Tough on Crime, Rudy Giuliani, couldn't stop locking up people. They were arresting people for everything. So even though they were putting more people in jail, you saw violent assaults down 90%. And when we say violent assaults, we're not talking a sharp elbow or a punch in the face. We're talking stabbings, slashings. And what else happened? Well, people understood that there are going to be consequences to our actions, and correction officers, COs, actually enjoyed coming to work a lot more. They weren't calling out sick. They weren't retiring. Overtime costs plummeted. The city's jail system turns around. You want to know how badly it turned around? Well, all you have to do is look what happened now. We have less than half the number of inmates in city jails now, and yet we have twice the number of stabbings and slashings. Why is that the case? Why are drugs rampant again since they abandoned the approach of Rudy Giuliani and Bernard Kerik? Here's what I'm suggesting. The federal jail system is a mess. let's turn to the same man that helped turn New York City's jail system around. And you know what? That man also happens to be a convicted felon. He knows what it's like to see the inside of a jail cell in the federal prison system. He's been a warden, he's been a deputy commissioner, a police commissioner, and what else? You know what he's done in the Middle East? He's designed prisons in the Middle East. To me, this is a no-brainer. President Trump needs to act today and make Bernard Kerik the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I am dead serious about this. Dead serious.
Does he need Senate confirmation?
Yes, but he could serve as acting BOP.
He could be acting for a while.
Right.
I mean, I love Bernie Kerik. I don't know when the last time an actual convicted felon was put in charge of running the federal corrections.
Well, look, John, we all remember the movie Catch Me If You Can. You remember what happened to Leonardo DiCaprio's character? It was a real-life story, Frank Abagnale. He went to work for the FBI, and to this day, what he does is help stop fraud. You know why? Because sometimes it takes someone that knows what the other side is like in order to put a stop to it. There's a saying, and like a lot of cliches happens to be true, only Nixon could go to China. If any other president would have opened up communist China under Mao, they would have been called soft on communism. But only the guy that went after Alger Hiss and made his career with the House Un-American Activities Committee, only he could have gone to China and had any credibility. Only Kerik can fix the federal prison system.
So we bring back Kerik, I got that, but let's rewind a little bit, because I'm still not buying this whole Jeffrey Epstein is dead story. I'm not buying it. I want to see.
You think he's the walrus?
A dead body. I want, they showed us pictures of Osama bin Laden. Why can't they show us pictures of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Why can't the medical examiner, after 48 hours, come out and say what actually happened? How did he die? What's the cause of death?
Well, as of today, the New York City, at the last hour or so, the New York City medical examiner is saying that his death was due to suicide.
Apparent suicide.
That's what he's saying. It's a suicide.
Well, the last is that breaking news?
Within the last hour
it up
or two,
because
yes.
I saw apparent suicide. And then seeking more information is what I saw out there. So, I saw on the front page of the New York Post, unless it was a fake photo, an EMS gurney getting wheeled into New York Presbyterian Hospital with Jeffrey Epstein apparently on it. And if he was dead in his cell, why would they be wheeling him into a hospital?
Well, look.
They don't bring dead people to the hospital. They bring them to the morgue.
Jeffrey Epstein, if you're alive and you're watching this, let us know how you're doing. And if you're dead, then,
I don't think he's dead.
Say hello to our friend,
if he's dead,
Elena Servideo Schwinn.
Show us a pic. Yeah, maybe we should get the New Jersey medium, Elena Servideo Schwinn, to come in and see if Jeffrey Epstein is in the room, and then maybe while many are talking about still making sure justice is done, maybe Elena can ask Jeffrey Epstein's body, his soul, who actually did some wrongdoing here. Maybe we can get to the bottom of it.
Well, look, I actually had the opportunity to interview Elena on my radio show on Sunday. She did say that Jeffrey was dead, but she didn't have any insight into exactly what happened.
He hadn't come to her yet.
I didn't get she didn't have.
I think we should bring her in here because she may have some very unique insights into exactly what was in those little black books. And I don't think it's any coincidence. For those of you who are keeping score at home, on Friday, there was a release of this treasure trove of documents from another legal case where all of these people were allegedly outed, you're talking about governors, you're talking about presidents, you're talking about princes, you're talking about billionaires. And lo and behold, within 24 hours, the guy who can corroborate all this stuff winds up miraculously dead in a unit where he's under continuous surveillance.
I agree that I don't preclude the possibility of foul play, but at the very least, it's either incompetence or foul play, and there needs to, there's an old saying, you grew up in an Italian household like I did, when a fish rots, it rots from the head, right? The problem is leadership at the BOP, and we need a leadership shakeup.
So the bottom line of this segment, in case you haven't been clear enough, is you're launching a campaign
Absolutely.
on Liquid Lunch.
And so far, my tweet on this subject last night saying exactly this, make the BOP director, Bernie Kerik, has gotten over 80 retweets. So if you want to add to that and let the president know how you feel, go to my Twitter, @FrankMorano, find that tweet from last night and just hit retweet.
Yeah, retweet it. And in case you haven't noticed, for those of you watching the second hour of Liquid Lunch, we're in a new spot here. We're meeting a whole new audience. We talk about a lot of things, news of the day, stock markets, cryptocurrency. We bring on Democrats and Republicans. We do a whole host of things that just doesn't happen on other television networks. We have our vodka sponsor is a Ponzoni. We have our tequila sponsor is the Question Tequila. Many of these things we use as props, but these are great products, and they support our message, and they support the purple people. So that's what we're doing every day, and we're doing it all in an effort to make television great again. And it's always great when my partner is here with me, but he's going to leave us now. And he's going to go do some investigative reporting.
That's right.
For us.
I'll be investigating these specials at the Bryant Park Grill.
The special list at the Bryant Park Grill is highly suspect.
That's right.
And we're taking a deep dive, in-depth look at that. And we're going to continue that message about Bernie Kerik. I don't think it's the worst thing you've ever said. And we're going to stay right here. I'm going to keep it here and talk about a whole bunch of things about your portfolio and what's happening in the markets. It's Money Monday. Back after this.